Now, Bernie, you put on over 20 international stem cell conferences under the World Stem Cell Summit, and you've also been a leader in the Regenerative Medicine Foundation for as long as I've known you. I believe I met you at the 2008 World Stem Cell Summit when it was in Madison, Wisconsin, which was a great meeting. One of the meetings that really got me really interested in. I had a company at the time, but I saw the space was going to explode and be so exciting. Why do you think it's taking so long for these therapies to reach the patients?
Well, the stem cells became, Kyle, a consumer movement when at the dawn of time of stem cell research, and I got involved 21 years ago as a patient advocate, and my background is law, as you know. Um, I attended the first ISSCR meeting, the International Society for Stem Cell Research. And what I found at that meeting is that there were no patients there. And I was a cancer survivor myself when I was age 48 as a young man. And I realized that the voice of patients um, were missing. What the scientists going to do about that? Segments of the stem cell field and embryonic stem cell research were really, that was under siege by lawmakers and hijacked into the abortion debate in the United States, and confusion over what an embryonic stem cell was and its the ethics behind it and the morality behind it. And as someone that was patient oriented, and my life was saved by uh, modern medicine and science, I became a champion of it, and the scientist, uh, in effect, appointed me as the de facto lawyer for the field. I was able to help work on policy issues, but the driving force I realized were the patients and advocates. Patient advocacy represents public support for any position, and as Lincoln said, with public appreciation, you can do anything. Without it, nothing can get done. 20 years we've worked with stem cells, and now we're just getting it into use into medicine. Really, you prompted the first question was, why did it take as long as it has? Is because the complexities of getting cell research as medicine to people is complex. Just goes through the same pathway in the FDA, by and large, as a drug, a small molecule. And the science itself had to be progressed. But we have the technology now to really leapfrog cell therapies, which is one of the pillars of longevity and aging research.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the Healthspan action story.
So, over the course of running and conceptualizing uh, 20 annual meetings, and we would always work with academic partners and co-organizers in different parts of the United States. We also did one in Shanghai, China. Uh, I fell into conversations with those individuals interested in longevity. And the way I saw longevity is healthy lifespan or health span. One of them was Aubrey de Grey, who wrote the book Ending Aging. And I was invited to speak at a meeting that he organized in Cambridge many years ago. And I, in turn, regularly invited Aubrey to speak at the World Stem Cell Summit. And we brought in speakers from the Buck Institute and other aging research institutions on the science of longevity and aging. Well, of course, that has come full circle to represent a huge movement of interest in longevity. At the same time, the technological and scientific advances converging right now, including AI, uh, are all hitting the shoreline like a giant tsunami. Realizing all of this, in 2020, the World Health Organization declared that there was an ICD code for aging as a treatable medical condition. Now that is an earthquake.
Yeah.
that, some of the social gerontologists weren't happy, but the biogerontologists were overjoyed because what that represents is our pathways through regulatory systems and reimbursements to move the field forward. So understanding that the same patient movement that supported stem cell research and cell therapies and the policies to accelerate this that's one of the cornerstone pillars to longevity science, all right, as well as senolytics and other aspects in drug discovery. So it was all related. The longevity movement, as it was generally understood, had different components to it. It had of course, the advocacy side, but the patient advocacy world is broken into their own silos. So a diabetic patient advocate and a spinal cord injury might not realize how aligned they are on some of the technological and scientific breakthroughs related to cell therapies and stem cells or longevity. But when you question them, they all are concerned about not only the length of time that they age. Aging is the common denominator to the acceleration of all sorts of diseases and disabilities. That common denominator could be put into a movement. And we launched the Healthspan Action Coalition, not only for the advocates for science and technology and biotechnology, pillar one, but the wellness, people who are so focused on wellness. Business, we call them wellness obsessives. Well, they're not obsessives. We all take nutraceuticals usually. I want to lift my vitamin D level. And people who are exercise and biohackers, it's all relevant. They're all constituents for the science to move forward to solve these problems of health span and increase healthy lifespan. And finally, what Business Week called radicals. Well, I wouldn't call them radicals, maybe longevists or people that want to have a long, happy life and make it as part of that movement as well. And you see the people that are funding it, some of our wealthiest people on the planet, Jeff Bezos and Altos Labs and others. So it's not enough. So here's the bottom line. The Healthspan Action Coalition is a unifying coalition across all stakeholders. We've recruited 130 organizations so far to advance this field. At the cornerstone, it's distributive justice and access. So as a lawyer and someone who's worked in the United Nations to fight for the research to be, stem cell research to be preserved, and the loftiest way I put it is that health span should be a fundamental human right based on the preamble of the World Health Organization and other, the Declaration of Rights of Man. All of these things are relevant, and health span is aspirational. And Kyle, what's so interesting about that is that at this moment in time, the wave coming into shore with the advent especially of artificial intelligence. So you have biotech plus AI, you have nanotechnology plus AI, you have genetics and genetic engineering plus AI, all of this together. And from the standpoint of policy, that's a strong suit. And all of these groups are united for a policy agenda to move this field forward.